I had spent nearly 30 years turning my little house into a home. Every corner held a memory. The wooden staircase where my late husband had taught our son, Daniel, how to ride a bike. The kitchen where I had baked birthday cakes every year. The backyard where Daniel used to play until the streetlights came on. After my husband passed away, the house became more than property to me. It was the last place where I still felt close to him. So when Daniel called one Saturday morning and said, "Mom, can we stop by? I want to show Emily something," I didn't think much of it. Emily was my daughter-in-law. She had always been polite around me, but there was something about her that I could never quite figure out. She was charming, confident, and always seemed to know exactly what she wanted. That afternoon, they arrived together. Emily stepped out of the car and stared at my house. Her eyes traveled from the front porch to the large backyard. Then she smiled. "What a beautiful house," she said. I smiled back. "Thank you." She walked toward the front door as if she already knew where she was going. Then, completely calmly, she said, "My mother will love it. We're moving in." I actually laughed because I thought she was joking. "I'm sorry, what?" Emily looked at Daniel. Daniel suddenly became very interested in his phone. Emily turned back toward me. "I thought Daniel had already talked to you." My smile disappeared. "Talked to me about what?" She sighed as though I were the one making things difficult. "This house is perfect for my mother. She needs somewhere comfortable, and honestly, you don't need all this space anymore." I stared at her. For a moment, I couldn't even speak. Then Daniel finally looked up. "Mom, it's not a big deal." "Grandma." "Don't call me Grandma," I interrupted. He froze. Emily stepped closer. "We've already discussed it with a realtor. If everything goes according to plan, my mother can move in next month." I looked from my son to his wife. Then I noticed something on Emily's phone. A photo. It was a real estate listing. And the picture was of my house. My stomach dropped. They hadn't come to ask me. They had already made plans. But what they didn't know was that I had discovered something about them 3 weeks earlier. Something that could change everything. I quietly looked at my son and said, "Daniel, you really think this house belongs to me?" He nodded. "Of course, Mom." I smiled. "Then I think it's time you learned who actually owns it." Daniel stared at me. "What do you mean, Mom?" Emily crossed her arms. I could see the confidence returning to her face. "She's upset," Emily said quietly. "Let's just give her some time." But I wasn't upset anymore. I was calm. Because 3 weeks earlier, I had received a letter that changed everything. I walked into my study and pulled a thick folder from the bottom drawer. Daniel watched me carefully. "What is that?" I placed the folder on the dining table. "Something your father arranged years ago." Emily immediately leaned forward. "What does it say?" I opened the folder. Inside was the original property deed. But that wasn't the surprising part. I turned the page toward Daniel. His face changed. "This can't be." Emily grabbed the document. Her eyes moved quickly across the page. Then she looked at me. "You're lying." "I have no reason to." Daniel picked up another document. It was a letter from our family attorney. The house wasn't simply mine. My late husband had placed the property into a family trust years before he died. And there was one very important condition. Nobody could sell, transfer, or move into the property without my written approval. Emily slowly lowered the papers. But your husband died years ago. Yes. And you're still living here. Yes. So, what's the problem? I looked directly at her. The problem is that you already contacted a realtor and told them this house was going to be sold. Emily's expression froze. Daniel turned toward her. Emily, did you? She didn't answer. I continued. And there's something else. I pulled out another document. This arrived from the county office last week. Daniel read it. His eyes widened. Mom, why does this have Emily's mother's name on it? Silence filled the room. Emily suddenly stood up. That's none of your business. I smiled. It became my business when someone tried to use my property records without my permission. Daniel looked completely confused. Emily, what is going on? She grabbed her purse. We're leaving. But before she reached the door, I said, actually, you should stay. She stopped. Why? Because I haven't told Daniel the most important part yet. Daniel looked at me. What part? I took a deep breath. The realtor who contacted me didn't just ask about selling the house. I paused. He warned me that someone had been trying to transfer ownership documents behind my back. Daniel's face went pale. He slowly turned toward Emily. Who? I looked at my daughter-in-law. She said nothing. And that silence told me everything. But then my phone rang. It was our family attorney. I answered. He said only 6 words. You need to see the security footage. My heart began pounding. Because whatever was on that footage could prove exactly what Emily had been hiding. I put the phone on speaker. Our attorney's voice was serious. Mrs. Carter, I reviewed the footage from your front gate. You need to come to my office tomorrow morning. Daniel looked at me. What footage? I didn't answer. Emily suddenly looked nervous. That was the first time I'd ever seen fear on her face. The next morning, Daniel and I sat inside our attorney's office. Emily was there too. Our attorney placed a laptop on the desk. I want everyone to watch this before we discuss anything. He pressed play. The security camera showed a man walking toward my front gate late one evening. He wasn't a stranger. It was Emily's mother. She looked around carefully before taking photographs of my house and the mailbox. Then another person appeared. A man carrying a briefcase. Our attorney paused the video. That man is a property consultant. Daniel looked confused. Why would my mother-in-law meet a property consultant at Mom's house? Our attorney opened another file. That's exactly what we need to discuss. He showed us several documents. Someone had been preparing paperwork to make it appear that my house was being transferred to a company connected to Emily's mother. Daniel stared at the documents. Mom, I could barely recognize the expression on his face. He turned toward Emily. Did you know about this? Emily didn't answer. Emily, she finally whispered. I was trying to help my mother. Daniel shook his head. You were trying to take Mom's house. No, Emily snapped. You don't understand. Our attorney interrupted. Then explain this. He placed a bank statement on the table. There were several large payments from Emily's mother's account to the same property consultant. Emily went silent. I looked at my son. I could see the disappointment in his eyes. But then Emily said something none of us expected. She wasn't doing this for herself. Everyone froze. "What do you mean?" Daniel asked. Emily looked at me. "My mother is in serious financial trouble. She owes people money, and someone has been threatening her." I frowned. "That still doesn't explain why she wanted my house." Emily's eyes filled with tears. She thought if she could get control of the property, she could sell it and pay everything back. Daniel stood up. "You should have told me." I was scared. For several seconds, nobody spoke. Then our attorney quietly opened one final document. "This is where things get more complicated." He slid it across the table. I looked down. It was a document containing my late husband's signature. But I had never seen it before. Our attorney said, "This document claims your husband transferred part of the property ownership years ago." My heart stopped. "That signature isn't real." The attorney nodded. "We believe so too." Daniel looked at me. "Then who forged Dad's signature?" Before anyone could answer, the attorney turned toward Emily and said, "That's the question we're trying to answer." Emily suddenly looked at me. Then she whispered something that made my blood run cold. "I know who did it."